All right, welcome to episode 16 of Grapplingpodden. If you're here for the first time, this is a Swedish Jiu Jitsu podcast. But because we have an international guest today, we've done this video in English so all of you non Swedish speakers can also understand. Today's guest is Hermes, and it's a very interesting conversation about his martial arts background, having trained in Greece, Sweden, and Japan. He gives a very interesting take on his training philosophy, which he has learned and amassed all of the knowledge during the years in all of those countries. He talks about his competition days, the trainings at Prana Jiu Jitsu back in the days in Stockholm, how it was living and training full time in Japan and preparing to fight Tainan Dalpra, and also training with Olympic level judo fighters. And he also gives us his take on the constraints-led approach, CLA, or what is commonly called ecological jiu-jitsu. And it's overall just an interesting conversation on training, life, philosophy, and jiu-jitsu. Yeah, this episode is brought to you by the Jiu-Jitsu Performance. They help people get strong, explosive, and more endurance. So if you are looking for a strength and conditioning program tailor-made for you as a jiu-jitsu athlete, check them out on the Jiu-Jitsu Performance on Instagram and get your program today. Without further ado, I bring you episode 16 with Hermes Pantazidis. Hermes, welcome to episode 16. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for the invitation, Carlo. I'm very good. Looking forward to this.
Nice. Please, for the people who don't know about you, could you give a brief introduction of yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Hermes. I mostly work with Jiu-Jitsu. I teach Jiu-Jitsu professionally. That's the only thing I do right now. I started martial arts when I was 15. I started training Taekwondo. After that, when I moved to Sweden back in 2010, I started training in another Korean martial art called Hapkido. And then after that, pretty much 2012, I started training Jiu-Jitsu. So along with that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu since then. Yeah.
Cool. Always when I look at your Instagram, you're in some new part of the world. So where are you? Where are you now?
Right now in Sweden. I'm back in
Nice.
Sweden for a while. Yeah, I'm back in Sweden for a while. Yeah.
Cool. I always ask people about their origin story, how they started training, and how their journey has progressed. And I think in your case, it's a very long story. So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
How did you come into? You started explaining about Muay Thai, but how did you find Jiu-Jitsu? Was it in Greece, in Sweden?
Yeah. So first of all, I first came in contact with martial arts when I was 15. I grew up in a small village in Greece called Kambani, and there was a Taekwondo school that opened. So my first contact with martial arts was Taekwondo. I started when I was 15. I did that till I was 18 for 3 years. And I competed at the local tournaments there. I traveled the world, like I went to Korea to train Taekwondo. I was very into it. I really liked martial arts at that point. Within my first 2 years of Taekwondo, I realized, hey, this is cool. Then when I moved to Sweden, I kept training Taekwondo, of course, but I also came in contact with another martial art, which is an offshoot of Hapkido, pretty much. But it had some grappling, it had some striking, it had some throws. So I did some amateur, like suit fighting style fights that were pretty much mixed martial arts fights. And then I realized my ground sucked. So I started training Jiu-Jitsu in Nakadoyo
All right.
in Naka back in November 2011, beginning of 2012. I started training in jiu-jitsu there. So through like this mixed martial arts thingy, I found out jiu-jitsu, and then I was like, hey, I like that. I'll stick to that. So I started training jiu-jitsu in Nakadojo under Ralph and Ricard Carnaborn, those brothers. My first ever teacher there was Maxine. He was teaching the beginners classes.
Yeah.
And then I stayed with. I'm gonna try to make the story very short now. And I trained there till 2015. 2015, I switched to Prana and I started training at Prana, where I got my black belt from. Throughout this whole time, though, I was doing other things as well. I never focused solely on jiu-jitsu. So I was studying in the university. I was working part-time. I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I was traveling back to Greece a lot as well because my family was there.
Mm.
So I was training jiu-jitsu in Greece too, with Panagiotis Adonopoulos, which is my teacher still in Greece. I met him in 2015 before I actually moved to Prana. So he has been guiding me since. Right now, he's like my oldest teacher. So I had contact with Greece. I went there to compete as well. So I was competing on the Greek circuit and on the Swedish circuit throughout, internationally as well. And back in 2023, I worked at Järfälla Camp Sports Club for almost a year. And then 2023, I moved to Japan to teach jiu-jitsu at Carpe Diem.
And now you're back.
Now I'm back.
Nice.
For a little while. Currently, I work at SPR along with Joshua Menchak and Michael Murphy. I'm vicariat. I'm like I'm replacing Henry C because he had his second kid now, his second baby. So he's off for a while till August, and I will be replacing them. I will replacing him.
Nice.
So that's pretty much the story. That's pretty much the story.
Right, but we'll get into it deeper. So could you please tell me why did you decide to move to Sweden in the first place? Was it because of work, studies, love?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Yeah, basically, I as I said, I grew up in a small village, very small society. I was born in Sweden, but my parents chose to move to Greece when I was 6 months old. So I was a Swedish citizen. My mother is pretty much Swedish, like she was born and raised in Sweden. My grandparents moved to Sweden back on the 60s. So there was Swedish culture in our family, just they never talked to me in Swedish. So I learned Swedish when I moved back. Pretty much I wanted to study in the university. I didn't have good enough grades to go into a Greek university. So moved back to, moved to Sweden, studied Swedish and came into Stockholm University on the geology program. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Again, I wasn't there only for martial arts, right? So I just moved there to study and, wide achieve.
Yeah. It seemed to me like you were from the beginning very serious about martial arts, whichever martial art you trained in. But why did you stick with jiu-jitsu and decide to like go all in on it and compete and make it a lifestyle?
I remember when I started training Taekwondo, I felt limited in a way. I didn't feel like a martial artist. The training wasn't what I was hoping that martial arts will be. Although my first teacher really taught me a lot when it comes to competition. Like it really instilled the spirit of competition. We were competing often, so that helped me later in jiu-jitsu. But I felt it more like a sport, so I was very curious about other martial arts. And when I came in contact with that Hapkido style that had a lot of different things into it, I was more excited. But once I got in contact with jiu-jitsu, there was something with it, right? Yeah. This playfulness, this thrill you get when you roll around, this cats and get caught game, I loved it. How difficult it was, this exhaustion you get from wrestling styles when you wrestle and you grapple is just, it's not the same as striking. So I guess I just felt more inclined to it. once I started training jiu-jitsu at Nakadoya, I was sold. I was like, okay, that's it. We're doing jiu-jitsu now.
Maybe you have it in your genes from the Greek,
Yeah,
Greco-Roman wrestling and stuff.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
So did you, when you started jiu-jitsu, did you begin to compete immediately on the Swedish circuits and
Yeah,
stuff like this?
I was quite. I was very competitive from my taekwondo background. So after 4 or 6 months into jiu-jitsu, I started competing. On 2012, I did every competition there was on white belt. I even competed on the. They had this Riksmasters Cup at the same time as SM. I remember we went to.
Whites and blue belts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember we went to uh, it wasn't Uppsala, it was Västerås. It was in Västerås,
Mm.
2012. It was white and blue. I lost all competitions the first year, 2012. I got up. Some guy, Max Lindblad, won my division there on the white and blue belts.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know that guy. But yeah, it was yeah, so I started competing directly. 2012 I lost all the competitions. 2013 I won all the competitions and got my blue belt November 2013.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to switch from Naka to Prana? Was it the competitiveness of Prana Academy at the time, or
Mm.
was it a different reason?
Yeah, so I think it was the circumstances. There is no clear reason. At that time I was living in Vällingby, and it was an hour and 10 minutes door to door to go to Naka. I was getting very good training at Naka. Ralph was actively competing. Fredrik Widgren was actively competing. And the good thing with Naka Dojo was that they were supporting me a lot. I had the PT that helped me get strong. I felt very strong at that time. They were helping me with travel expenses. We were building up a good group of blue belts. So I had no complaints really. The only issue was that Ralph was very inclined into no-gi training, and he was competing mostly no-gi. So I had nobody to travel with me and compete in the gi. So every competition I went, I was tagging along with Max, Emad, Jimmy and Daniel Svensson, all those guys, right, who were Prana and competing a lot at that time. And it was the distance. It was the fact that when I was competing, it was all those guys that I was, we were all the Swedes. When we were outside the country, it was just all the Swedes together, right? So I think it was a combination of that. I'm pretty sure, though, even if I continued to train under Naka, I would still find my way,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the reason. So I moved at Prana 2015 on May. It was the time that Finfu was a trainer there. So Finfu was a coach there, and we had a huge influx of people. Like Erik Frigberg was moving there at the same time. Joshua, there were so many people. Finfu brought his students. Adam Werdzinski was coming over from Poland and training with us at that time. We had so many people. So yeah, it was an environment suites. The level there was intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw even today on Instagram you had a nice group at the academy. Many guys from the
Yeah,
old
me,
times.
Josh, Jamil. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
trained together for 10 years, right? So we go way back, all of us, all of us. Yeah.
Did you get your black belt from Kenta?
Yeah, exactly. Kenta promoted me 2 years ago. Yeah.
Cool. I have heard many stories on the podcast from people who trained at Prana during this
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and they all say it was such good quality. A lot of people coming in. What do you think made it special during that time, and what do you think Kenta did to make this place so good for
Mhm.
all of you guys?
Yeah. That's actually a very good question, because I've listened to some podcasts of my friends, Jamil, Joss, Max, and not many people talk about the training. They don't go into details on the training environment there. And I think that's a very interesting thing. Kenta was very good on recruiting people and bringing them together as a team. So he would make a very, very focused room of people who trained hard. He was very good, and he's still very good at it, at pushing people. He would push people, and he would know which people to pair with with who. So we had, the 76 kilo guys, we had the 80 kilo guys, the big guys. So I think his strengths are bringing people together and just making a very tough training environment. The training didn't have a constant curriculum. There were days that we would do only technique, that you would go there and it will be 1.5 hours of technique. There were days that you would go there and it will be 1.5 hours of sparring, extremely tough. Other trainings, he would do mobility, that he would try a lot of different things and mix a lot of different things. I think his strength as a coach is to bring people together and be this kind of a glue, right? Make this training environment. And it was the room that kept producing people. When you have a room full of people, everyone that comes in, even if they are a beginner or a person that has a belt from another academy, they would very fast get sophronized. They would adapt and start, to get into this environment, get pushed to their limits. And, it was a thin balance before breaking. And it was all about finding that balance. Kenta was always trying to find this balance. Push enough so they don't break, and push enough so they keep growing all the time, more than just teaching techniques or being there on competitions, because Kenta was never there in competitions. He probably showed up only on Nordic Open and so on. So that's pretty much it. And people trained on their own a little bit as well. They stayed after and drilled and solved positions. It was a big influx of people there training. And that's when it comes to the jiu-jitsu part. Then it's the physical preparation part. We always trained hard. We had rings. Kenta sophronized us on the rings training, weightlifting. He was there he's very generous when it comes to those things. He would always be there and help you. He would see you weightlifting. He would come and show you proper form and stuff like that. So on that department, he was always very helpful and so on. That's on a nutshell. He was also very good at making rivalries. You would go on training and he would be like, "Hey, Hermes, Jamil said he can pass your guard and shit." And he's good at making rivalries.
Did anybody take this rivalry seriously, or was it just a matter of sparring?
I mean, you have a room with a bunch of 20-year-olds that train there and want to be the best. So, of course, sometimes people would take it seriously. So, yeah.
It's interesting because, as you said, I've heard that a lot of people, the success of Prana was often attributed to having a lot of people and influx of people, but they are still producing top talents to this day. So it's interesting to hear what Kenta did right to achieve those results.
Yeah, and there was many times I was like, Kenta knows this. There were so many times that I had arguments with Kenta myself. I would be angry at him and so on. The more time goes by, you realize you're just angry at the person because they pushed you, He was always there. Like when you were at the lowest, you maybe had fought 5-6 rounds and you were lying dead. He would come and make fun of you and stuff, and sometimes you would break. It just takes time to get used to it, Some people take it, some people can't take it. It's just, it's his academy, it's his rules, and you're there to follow the rules. And if you can manage that and that environment fits you, great. If it doesn't fit you, you shouldn't be there, So that's pretty much it. It's not an environment for everyone, for sure. It's very specific. There is focus on the people who want to compete. There isn't so much focus on the hobbyists, on the beginners, and so on. At least when I trained there before 223.
Yeah. Who was your main rival in the gym and the main sparring partner or toughest sparring partner?
I mean, man, there are so many people who were good at Prana, and I'm gonna try now to name all of them. You know why? Every time somebody talks about Prana, they're like, all these guys, Jimmy Svensson, Daniel, Max, Emad, Jamil, and then it stops.
Yeah.
But there were so many more people than that. Every round, you were going at it. Like, from the top of my head now, Man, when I started there, Simon Immerstrand as well, Erik Friberg, Dillo, Rasmin, later on Felix, Pasa, Simon, Gonzalo, David. There were so many people. Ali Dougla, Yuna Sky, liksom, there were so many people. I hope I do not forget more of you guys. Like, the room was a bunch of killers. Zos was there for 2 years. Staffo, Sam, like everybody was good. Like
Yeah.
everybody was really good. We even had people who would often come from other academies and train with us. Martin, Bowens, people from Greece as well. Some of my friends, Panos was there, Nikos was there, Spiros was there. So many people, you know, so many people. Girls, let's mention the girls as well. So many good girls coming out of Prana. Martina, Patty, Tuve back in the days, Patty, I meant Patricia, Elena later on, Johanna, so many people. Later on, Christy, so many girls. I hope I haven't forgotten all of them. I really want to emphasize on this, because every time people say that it was a room full of killers and people are not getting mentioned, so much credit to those people, so much credit. If I come up with more names, I'll just keep pushing them. Anvar, like, man, just so many people. Now, rival. I was mostly getting my ass whooped because I was waiting between 76 and 82. So the
Okay.
pool of people, the Shark Tank I would get at would be Jimmy, Daniel, Emad, and Max. Because there would be the 76, 82 kilo guys. I would go with Eric as well a lot. Man, hated going with those guys. They killed me, you know. If you ask people who you trained with in Prana, they will be like, you know, all those guys, Emad, Max, Jimmy, Daniel, Jamil. They won't say me because I was getting beat by those guys. So, you know, I would say those guys were my, the people I wanted to go there and beat up, you know?
Yeah. Always when I have a new guest on the podcast, I try to look at some matches online and some results, but it's very difficult to find matches, especially from the Swedish scene from those days. So could you give us like an overview of your competition career during this time, and what kind of competitions you did
Mm,
and the results you
yeah,
achieved?
yeah. I competed a lot during that era, 215, 216, 217. Closest I've gotten was quarterfinals, like 4 fights, purple belt at Europeans. Um, Most, I've won Finnish Open twice, blue belt, purple belt. I've won Nordic Open many times. I've won the Greek Nationals many times. So yeah, around the blue belt, purple belt time, I was mostly winning tournaments in Scandinavia, but I could not place in Europeans.
Mm.
I was facing a lot of good talents back at the time. I fought against Zos. He beat me at blue belt. I fought against Tariq twice. Fought him in the final of Rome Open in Italy in IBJJF. Oh, that's another result. I have a silver there. So Alexander Bafuna fought twice as well. Liksom, you know, all these people I was pretty much fighting at that time. Tariq was the guy to beat for sure at that time. He was like, even at blue belt, I also had 4 fights 2015 at blue belt middleweight. It was a big division, 151 people that year. I had 4 fights. I
Damn.
didn't make it to the medals. Tariq won that one. Like, you know, it was just those kind of years, you know, it was packed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you were going like back and forth between Sweden and Greece. How was the Greek scene? I think it would be interesting for people to also hear about this, the Greek jiu-jitsu scene, and how was it, and how does it compare to the Swedish scene
Yeah, the level
at
in
the
Greece,
time? At the
yeah,
time,
at the
not
time,
right now.
yeah. At the time, it was the level was much lower. It wasn't as good as Sweden. Um, so it wasn't really there because there weren't people who were doing it. Most of the people were hobbyists that were kind of doing good, but never really people who completely focused on that.
All right.
But the level is still lower than Sweden, because Sweden has very high level, but it has really picked up in Greece. And actually there is a lot of good nogi guys from Greece right now. Like they kind of focus more on nogi now,
Mm.
and it's quite good. Still not good as Sweden though. We have a very high level compared to Europe, even Japan. Like it's a very, very good level.
Yeah. How did you find your passion about teaching? When did you discover that you wanted to teach, and
Mm.
how did you get into it?
Yeah. So I always felt that I'm very communicative, and I like to talk about things and break things down. I mean, I chose to do academics by studying geology and doing research in geology. So I was always interested in finding out how things work. And that
Yeah.
was very important and is still very important to me. I believe that you can do three things. You can be very good at something by knowing what you do. Um, you can be you can know something very well, but you can't be as good as knowing it by doing it. And you can have something in between, right? And I believe that there are people who are high achievers and people who are wide achievers.
Yeah.
I would say I'm kind of a wide achiever. I like to do a lot of things. I have a lot of interests and I like to see patterns in between. So I think it has to do with my personality and my academical background. I started teaching a little bit in Nakadoyo. When there was an instructor missing and so on, they would make me do a kids class here and there. But I started teaching beginners classes back in 2017 at Prana when I was a
Mm.
purple belt. Sometimes when people didn't come, some days I had to teach and so on. And then slowly I realized that I like it and I started teaching more and more. And yeah, then I started working with it back in 2022 to 23. That's
Cool.
pretty much
So
it. Yeah.
I think like working full time with jujitsu, to 99% of people doing jiu-jitsu sounds like a dream, like a dream job, something you want
Yeah.
to achieve.
Yeah.
How did you get the opportunity, and what kind of tips would you like to give to someone who also wants to start working with it full time or teach it
Mm.
full time?
Yeah. So, um, you know, people will tell you anything, right? They will tell you you have to bail on everything you do, abort corporate life, and start, just do jiu-jitsu, teach privates, and then an opportunity will come up, this and that. But I don't agree. I
Yeah.
think you should have a stable foot somewhere, and you should slowly start to get into it. And like any other skill, just because you have competition results, just because you like to compete, it doesn't mean you're a good instructor. It doesn't mean you understand coaching. So it's a skill you need to build up. And the better you become, the more opportunities will show up because people will appreciate it. They will go to your classes and they will be like, hey, that made sense. Hey, after 5 classes, I could see a tangible difference on my game. It's not just, talking and doing this and doing that. So I believe you should slowly ease into it. Have a part time job. It's very easy in Sweden, for example. You can
Mm.
really sustain yourself by having a part time job. And then, maybe talk to a karate club that doesn't have a jiu-jitsu class and start an own class there on the side. And then start putting in some work, produce some students, and then so to academies, hey, I can do this. Do you search for an instructor? And so on. So I don't believe it's one way road, that it's a plan A and abort everything else.
Yeah.
It wasn't my path, and I'm doing it now. So, I slowly eased into it. So, that's my advice.
Yeah. I was looking a bit at your YouTube channel, and you had your was it your coach, the guy Panos?
Honest, yeah, that's my teacher. Yeah, that's my
Yes.
teacher. Yeah,
And you,
yeah,
you talked about what people like to call ecological jiu-jitsu or
yeah. Approach,
constraints-led
approach.
approach. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What what kind of advantages do you see in this approach versus the old way of drilling? And
Mm,
what do you prefer in what style do you
yeah,
teach?
yeah. So first of all, because we're going to open a Pandora's box here, there are so many
All right.
misconceptions about the ecological approach and everything. The ecological approach is an umbrella of concepts and research and everything. What is used in like practical terms is the CLA, constraints-led approach.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's just a medium. I believe that what is the most important for me is that jiu-jitsu is about skills, not about concepts or techniques. So if you have a way, a method of training that allows you to build skills into your students and you're effective with it, great. You should do that. I believe that the method a coach is using is an expression of themselves. Some people, like my teacher Panos, they feel that using the CLA expresses themselves the way they understand jiu-jitsu better. Some people are more pragmatic, more into trial and error. Some other people want to guide others. So then we go more onto the IP method, which is drilling and techniques and so on.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to knowing your art first. Do you understand jiu-jitsu first? Do you understand the three macros of jiu-jitsu, the principles behind it? What are the necessary skills to build in order to become good at jiu-jitsu? Great. Then you can look into what methods you can use. But the most essential part is knowing your art. And I think
Mm.
that's the most important takeaway. It's not about learning how to teach with CLA is not going to make you learn jiu-jitsu, understand jiu-jitsu better. Using the IP method, like if we look at the forefront of that method is Danaher, John Danaher. We could
Yeah.
say that he is the spear point of the IP method. Well, him, Atos, and NeoJ are the best academies on that, right? Man, they know how to increase people's skills by drilling, by showing technique, because they know what will happen. And they make people good at certain areas and certain skills. It works, obviously. We have
Yeah.
more evidence of that rather than we have with the ecological approach. So it's very important that we pinpoint that. Do you know jiu-jitsu? Do you know your art? Great. Then the method you're using to teach people skills, that's up on you. Just do it right. Don't half-ass the ecological approach and don't half-ass the IP method. Then you're good. This is all I want to touch because I don't want to create misconceptions. There is so much good material out there, and me trying to explain and add definitions here won't do any good to the listeners. I
Mm.
think the big takeaway is that.
Yeah.
I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And I think it's also in human nature, like if you find something that works for you, you want to like tell it to everybody, and then people get so stuck on their approach that it's like the only way, and the
Mm,
other side is like, no, this is the only way. And we
mm.
have proof that like both ways work, and as always, it's ideal to be somewhere in the middle and take the best
Yeah.
from both sides, right?
I believe, personally, if you ask me, I do not believe in mixing those two methods. I believe that
All right.
that's the worst of the three. I believe that you should either do CLA or do IP, and you should do one of the two. If you're mixing it, it's about under, like, for example, both of them stem from a certain belief system of how people learn. That's what it comes
Mm.
down to. Do you learn from your environment or do you learn from a source of information? So I personally believe that mixing them will not bring as good results as doing one or the other.
Ah,
uh,
okay, yeah, I get it now, like
yeah.
the source of learning, yeah.
Yeah, because on one of them, it comes down to your core beliefs. Do you believe that the environment teaches you what you're exposed to and how you gain information from that, or do you believe that the human mind learns from a source of information that drops down in for you, somebody to tell you what to do, give you the solutions, and so on? So that's what I believe. Again, this is a controversial yeah, aspect and theme, but that's how deep I want to touch it.
All right.
Also, you asked something more other than there was another question on
I
that.
think it was about what your style of teaching is.
What my style of teaching is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, now I remembered. You mentioned it comes down to what people prefer to express themselves. something along those lines. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
because why do people train judo and not jiu-jitsu? You're not going to use 99% of the situations that happen in your life. You're not going to use jiu-jitsu or judo.
no,
Both of them are just ways you prefer to do sport and go out there and have fun, you know. So it's like saying why you do judo. Jiu-jitsu is a better art. I mean, you know,
yeah,
people choose to express themselves with something that they like. Some
yeah,
people like to talk less. Let the person who is experienced the art learn from the environment. Set an environment in a way that it will help a student learn from it. And some other people like to tell people what to do. They have a recipe and it shows results, and they want to build skills with that. So it's
mm.
completely up to them. Completely
That's
comes
that's
down
like,
to preference. As
yeah,
long as you know your art,
yeah.
comes down to preference.
That's like one guy told me, he was like, your jiu-jitsu is useless. If 10 guys come and stomp you on your head, it's useless. I was like, bro, nothing works if 10 guys come and stomp you
Yeah,
on
I
your
mean,
head.
come on, man.
I
Yeah,
do it because it's fun. Like, otherwise I wouldn't have done it for so many
yeah,
years.
for sure, man.
Even
Yeah,
if you find the most effective martial arts, but it's fucking boring, nobody would do it for 20 plus years.
if everything works in a certain percentage, right? I mean, how many times out of the 10 times it would work? Maybe against two people, jiu-jitsu would work 6 times out of the 10.
Yeah,
Maybe Thai boxing would work 7 times out of the 10.
yeah,
Your chances still are quite high. If you don't know anything, your chances would be 10 out of 10 or something
of
when you
course.
encounter two people. So, I mean, everything is so percentually based, you know, it's never set parameters into how things will happen out there. So,
Yeah. I want to talk to you a bit about Japan. How did this opportunity present itself,
yeah,
and why did you choose to go there, and how?
yeah. So, um, things were going great in the academy I was working at in Stockholm, but I had this time in my life where I had nothing holding me,
Mm,
and I had this opportunity to travel to Japan. And I always loved the Japanese philosophy revolving around martial arts. I was always very romantic about traditional martial arts and so on. I always liked the Oriental philosophy, Zen Buddhism, and everything. I also loved anime, all this culture, you know, the Japanese culture. So I really wanted to experience it. So I had friends in Japan, and I was just occasionally asking around, like, is there anybody who's looking for instructors and so on? And they brought me in contact. My friend Jimmy Eriksson, he brought me in contact with Carpe Diem, specifically Carpe Diem Yugaoka, and the director there, Thomas Mids, a French guy. So yeah, we had an interview online and so on, and we shook hands. I flew there with a bag, 20 kilos, and ended up staying there. So yeah.
how was the? Did you experience any culture shock, and how was the language barrier when you came to Japan?
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
man. So Japanese people do not speak English.
yeah,
So you very rarely see Japanese people who speak English. So and most of them who do, it's very broken English. You know, it's such a different language from English, so it's very hard for them to learn it. And it's an isolated island, right? It's not.
yeah,
They don't have any contact to the mainland and so on. So it was always been a very isolated country. So you know, they don't speak so much English there,
mm,
and you are forced into an environment of you know, Japanese, and you have to learn it. Sooner or later you have to learn it. In the beginning it was very hard, but in the academy everybody speaks Japanese. Some people would help me translate. The kids, teaching some of the kids classes, the kids will help me out. So after a while it started to make sense. So
yeah,
after 6 months I started to realize, hey, I can start explaining. I can define all the body parts, how to push, how to pull. So it slowly started to make sense, and then I slowly started to be able to conversate very simply. I'm not even close to being fluent, but I can hold small conversations in Japanese. So
But
It
still,
becomes.
six months to become conversational. It's maybe you have a talent for languages. It's
I wouldn't say it came within 6 months, but after 6 months, I started to
okay.
go, yeah, and really unlock, and yeah, I mean, I like languages though. I really wanna become fluent in Japanese, which will be the fourth one. So I really, I was interested in that. I was studying Japanese as well on my spare time. I was doing privates with with another instructor, so I put effort in it. I really did.
How was Tokyo to live in general? How was the city and the life there?
Yes. I mean, it's the world's largest city, right? The greater
Mm,
area is like 36 million. It's a big city. At the same time, it doesn't feel so populated, especially certain areas of it. They are, low buildings, no skyscrapers, not too tightly packed. It's a great city. I love it. I really love it.
mm,
An amazing country. People are very different, though. There
yeah.
was a cultural barrier. From small things to like touching people. I was talking to my students in the beginning. I was just touching them on the shoulder, like, "Hey, you did a good job," and they would be like, "Hey, hey, just you know, how you act, how you speak. There are. It's a different culture completely. The way they understand and perceive kindness, how to be proper, how to behave in front of other people is very different to
Yeah.
us.
High
We
work
look
ethic.
very weird to them,
Yeah. Um, was jiu-jitsu popular among the people in Japan? I know it's originally a Japanese art, but Brazilian jiu-jitsu, was it
Yeah,
foreigners training or Japanese people
yeah.
training? And how was
Be-
the scene looking
yeah.
like?
Before we go there, sorry, I kind of interrupted you. You started to say I worked with. Did you
No,
have
I said that they have a high work ethic. They are
hi, oh
famous for having a high work ethic in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah, yeah. I deeply respect that. I deeply respect how much effort they put into everything. That
Mm,
they don't half-ass anything. That they go 100 in no matter what they do. So important thing here: Japanese people do not view Brazilian jiu-jitsu as some sort of their possession because jiu-jitsu started in Japan. They view it as a completely different martial art, like some sort of an exotic martial art that came later. With that said, it's more of it's my understanding of it. It's more that it's a hobbyist sport
mm,
there in Japan. It seems to me that most of the athletes there on grappling arts, they focus on judo, they focus on freestyle wrestling, on sports that they can produce world champions there.
yeah,
It's very hard to become a world champion in Japan. You have to travel outside in Brazil, in US. So it's something most people who do sports, and since people who do sports at a very high level start early, they get not distracted, but they get consumed by other grappling sports because there are programs in school, judo programs, wrestling programs. So jiu-jitsu, you get caught up in jiu-jitsu if you are some sort of an alternative lifestyle or a more international Japanese person who watches MMA, watches
mm,
cage fighting, and you are interested into this, grappling arts of no gi and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Or you get interested into it if you are an older person and you want to try something different and you want to try jiu-jitsu. Um, it's almost a luxury service in Japan. Jiu-jitsu is very expensive, but the academies there are on a completely different level if you compare them to Sweden, like how clean they are, how many services they offer, how they treat their customers. Same
yeah,
thing with Greece as well. Jiu-jitsu is Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a luxury service there.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned on your YouTube channel that you cross train a lot. How was to train in the other arts in Japan, like
yeah,
wrestling and especially judo? And you
yeah.
also mentioned sumo. How was sumo?
Yeah. Man, I mean, crazy, right? To be, i- to me, that was the most exciting stuff in Japan when it comes to martial arts because um, mm, getting in contact, training with Olympians, training with people who have won the All Japan. Like, it's insane the amount of talent and how you connect with people that do this, and you know they're fighting in the Olympics, is insane. Having the chance to help people, to show them a little bit of groundwork that might help them. I mean, it's crazy. Learning judo from the source, seeing Kodokan, training at the universities there, at the JR judo, like, man, amazing. It's really a unique experience. They really, really deeply respect Budo there. You know, the Japanese martial arts like judo,
Yeah.
karate, and so on. Amazed by judo. I fell in love with judo in Japan. I was a bit interested into it before, but in Japan I really fell in love with it. And here in Sweden I'm continuing to training it. So it's very nice. Sumo, extremely interesting. Sumo is a completely different world from martial arts. It seems that in Japan you have martial arts and you
Yeah.
have sumo.
All
It
right.
has a completely different culture, ritualistic almost, a lot of viewership in it, a lot of rituals, a lot of old traditions that never break in sumo. It's amazing. Uh, the energy there in the competitions and on the stables is insane.
Interesting.
Probably people who do jiu-jitsu also viewed Haisam and Craig Jones training with the sumo guys there, which is a very difficult
Yeah.
thing to do, to
Yeah.
get access to one of those stables. I even got to train a little bit of Sotokan karate there with one of my students, Paul Huglo, who is a Belgian guy who has 2 silvers on All Japan Karate Championships, which is a
Wow.
huge achievement as a foreigner. So yeah, I mean, martial arts in Japan, amazing, amazing.
Mm. Were the high level judo players, were they open to, for example, your tips on the ground and stuff, or
Man,
are they more like closed off and doing
yeah,
their own thing?
man. Soichi Hashimoto, he has a bronze medal in the Olympics. Sasaki-san, who has like won Grand Slam, All Japan. Siho-san, Siho Tanaka, she has a bronze in the World Championships. Those people train with us. They come and train jiu-jitsu.
Ah,
Siho-san and Sasaki-san, they have purple belts in jiu-jitsu. Like we gave them purple belts. Like they come and train. They respect it a lot, and they are very open to it. But I have to say something here, and it's so true. I do not believe in us in jiu-jitsu. We have so many things that can help a judo guy because the rules are
it's
different.
true. Yes, it's very true. Yeah.
The positions they end up in are completely different. When
Mm.
we end up in turtle, if we take the back, we get points. If they
Yeah.
take the back, they don't get points. So their priorities there is to finish the person.
Mm.
At the same time, when you end up in guard in jiu-jitsu, you can have one person seated or on their back with their legs in front of the opponent, and you can have the top person being on both of their feet, both on their knees, and in a combination of the two, a knee down and a foot up.
Yeah.
But in judo, if you have a person up on both of their feet, it's a mate. People
Yeah.
stop it. If they are not on their knees or on a combination of feet and knees, the referee will stop it. So imagine that. A good jiu-jitsu guy, if he knows he can stand on both of his feet and be standing while you are on both of your, while you're on your hip sitting or you're on your back, and he can get a stop, stand up again, he would do it every time. So
Of course.
every time a judoka has difficulties in Nawaza, they just try to stand up on both of their feet and disengage.
Mm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole meta game of jiu-jitsu 10 years ago was to start passing standing with the toreando, with the throw-bys. Leandro Lo made that famous. And then what? People started countering that by going under the opponent's center of mass and
Yeah.
then tackling with the legs to minimize that movement. But still to this day, people start passing standing. All that is useless in judo.
Yeah.
So
So,
they never end up there. Why train it? You know?
yeah.
Also, if I stay flat on my back and I defend like that, in jiu-jitsu, you could just get the back mount, 4 points. In judo, it's no points, and if nothing happens in 20 seconds, mate, up.
Yeah.
So if I don't know Nevasa, I can go flat on my back, don't do nothing for 20 seconds, then it will stand us up.
Yeah.
So
And it's
how?
basically impossible to finish someone like this for 25
Yeah,
seconds.
it's impossible. And
Yeah.
it's not that you get all the time in the world. You have 20 seconds. You don't have
Yeah.
much time. And of course, there are fringe positions, small novelties, areas of expertise that you can help judo players adjust when they throw and people base on their hands to choke, to jump on submissions. Of course, helping them pass the half guard when the knees are down. Of course, we can help them, but it's a small amount of their training that
Yeah.
they very rarely end up in. So if you want to get good, you need to focus on the things that happen often, not on the fringe things.
Mm.
So when they don't compete, when they have extra time, when they want to deload all the cognitive stress they have, it's good to train some jiu-jitsu. But
Yeah.
come on, let's face it, right? I mean, I hope it
Would,
makes sense what I'm
would you
saying.
so would you say that we jiu-jitsu guys have more to learn from judo than they do from us?
I think it's the
To,
same.
useful things.
I think it's the same
Same.
because judo prevents people from hiding their hips, and also it prevents people from grabbing legs. But in
Oh.
jiu-jitsu, if you have no connections to the opponent, you can shoot to connect to their legs and take them down. So having that upright judo stance and always trying to connect is not good beneficial for us either, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the same. We are the same martial art that the rules have forced to change and evolve on two different paths, pretty much like Latin and Greek languages. They
Yes.
evolved at the same time and they borrowed words from each other, but they were never the same. Same thing.
Yes. How was the the competition scene in Japan while you were there?
Yeah.
And did you
Don't
compete a
ask
lot?
me. I've never competed against a Japanese person. In Nagoya, I fought Brazilians, and on Asians, I fought Korean guy, American guy, Australian guy, and Brazilian guy. So
Mm,
I've never fought a Japanese person because uh, 80 kilos and above, there aren't so many people.
mm,
Usually, Japanese people are smaller.
mm,
I would say that the competitions in Japan there are a lot of competitions. You get to compete a lot if you want to. Unfortunately, because of my age, I'm 30. I was 31 when I got there. My back hurted a lot, so I couldn't compete as much as I wanted. So I choose to do the big ones and the ones that I thought had significance. But amazing. Like I've seen so much anime and I've read so many stories of these old sports arenas and how it feels to
wow.
compete in them, and it did not disappoint. Old arenas made with wooden floors and beautiful, great feeling. Um, what needs to be noted though is that there are a lot of Brazilians in Japan, and most competitions, especially the ASJJF
Yeah.
federation, is Brazilians who organize it. So you feel like you're in Brazil. People talk
Ah.
Brazilian to each other like it's crazy. When it's the JBJJF organization, which is the Japan Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, which is pretty much the same thing with IBJJF, because I can compete at IBJJF with my JBJJF card.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
have some sort of a symbiosis agreement. There you see more international people and so on, but the Japanese competitions are very strict with the tests and how people are called out. They sit you in chairs. You can't just stand and warm up on the where the scoreboard is and so on. You have to sit on a chair and wait patiently. So they have a little bit of differences there, which is quite cool.
Hmm. Was it JBGF competition that was the Asian Championships where
Yeah,
you fought?
exactly.
Um, can you talk a bit about that competition and how it was to fight Tainan mentally, and how did you prepare before, or did you even prepare
Yeah,
for him specifically?
yeah. So basically, for Asians, I did not prepare for Tainan at all because Tainan was later registered after the registrations got when the registration deadline was over.
Yeah.
So he appeared on the brackets a week after. So I never even knew he's gonna fight. So I did not prepare for a certain competitor because I didn't know anybody. I was new in Japan and there weren't so many people. My training partners told me about, oh, be careful of this guy, be careful of that guy. But I did my best to put as much good quality of jiu-jitsu I could. So in the academy, all the instructors will gather and train together, and the judo guys will come, other jiu-jitsu guys would come, and we would have a pro training session once a week. So I was
Mm.
doing that. I was also training a little bit at Hero and other Carpe Diem trainings. And I was trying to put as much stress on my body as I could handle without breaking. Because with two herniated discs and my tendency to play guard, I get pain a lot. So it was a very thin line. And I was very happy with my preparation. I was extremely happy with my preparation and I felt really good. I felt I was going to go all the way. And it was very tough fights. All I had 4 fights. Like most of the fights lasted like 6 or 7 minutes, so it was very tough. Some of them I was losing and just won because of the submission. So
Mm.
now when it comes to Tainan, when I saw him appearing on the brackets close to the competition, I knew I had to be careful with the long step, with the knee cut, with the weave pass, the crazy dog, all those uh, quadruplets of passing that they fight with.
Yeah.
So I knew he's gonna go on that game. I knew he's gonna play some sort of an X guard, try to get under me if he's on the bottom, and so on. And I knew he's probably gonna be stronger than me in all positions technically. So my chances there were to catch him in a position where I can use my inversions for a triangle, which is my best submission. So during the fight, I was always trying to invert and catch him off on a position where he will not expect and he will not have established some sort of grip on me. So it was really playing along with the inversions. Because let's face it, he has a better guard than me, better passing than me. I had to
Mm.
really bring the fight in those scrambly, inverted positions where I can really entangle with my triangle. So that was the plan.
Mm.
It didn't go as planned. And a big factor in that was that he was passing on the left side, on my left side. So
Mm.
I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know that he was starting on a southpaw position. And from the moment I pulled guard, he put his left foot forward and started passing on my left side. And that made things much worse because my guard is much better, like everyone's guard on this side. Max Lindblad is also very good at passing on the left side. I faced him on the SM final twice, once in the open weight and once on the 82 weight class. So I had the same issue there. So I would say that was the biggest issue I faced there with Tainan.
When I listen to you, it seems like you are very cerebral about your jiu-jitsu. Like you think about it a lot and you study jiu-jitsu a lot.
I do
Uh,
not I do not study jiu-jitsu a lot, but I really believe that jiu-jitsu is very simple.
mm.
It's just that it's very hard to get good at it. But to understand, to segment jiu-jitsu into 3 parts, the 3 main macros of jiu-jitsu, the stand-up, the guard, and the pins, and to understand what are the essential skills you need to build up, not concepts, not techniques, and to become good at those skills is very easy. The difficult part is how good you can actually become, how good you can be in those skills, and how much time and effort you put into it. Because, man, even though I know, like I talked a little bit about it in the beginning, you can know something
Yeah.
and you can have a very good understanding of it and you can lead people and you can help them create skill in that, but it doesn't mean you have good skill in it. There is a difference between knowing something and being good at something. You can
Mm.
be very good at something but not knowing it and not being able to guide people into it. And you
Yes.
can be equally good, not as great on either of them, and you can be equally good in both of them. I believe I wide achieve. I'm not great, I'm not amazing at jiu-jitsu, but I'm good at jiu-jitsu and I'm good at teaching it. So, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I study a lot of jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is very simple. I can see a technique and I can understand. I can segment it. I can understand what skills are incorporated into one technique.
Okay.
Uh, and lastly, one more thing I want to say is that we use connections in jiu-jitsu. We connect to each other. And with those connections, we pull and push. And by pulling and pushing our opponent, we create unbalances and we manage distance. By creating unbalances, we can make submissions or sweeps happen. And by managing the distance, we can maintain or bring somebody closer to us. So this maintenance of distance and guard and this unbalancing help us do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And these are skills, how you can connect to an opponent, how you can maintain connections, how you can manage distance, how you can destabilize, unbalance, do kuzushi, as they say in
Yeah.
judo, to an opponent. These are skills. Every technique has those skills incorporated in them. Every sweep you do in jiu-jitsu, you need to be connected to the opponent in some sort of guard, some sort of connections. You need to first create unbalance, bring that person in a state of unbalance, and then submit them or sweep them. There are only two sweeps in jiu-jitsu. There aren't hundreds of sweeps. There are only two sweeps. You can have a person with a stable base, and you can push the center of mass over that stable base, and they will drop. Or you can have a person with a stable center of mass, and you can pull the base under that center of mass. Physically, you can't take down a person in any other of those two ways. You can do a combination of the two, but no other ways. And guess what? The throws are the same thing. We sweep as we take down somebody. There is
Mm.
a stable base that cannot move, so you put the center of mass over it, or you hold the center of mass stable and you remove the base under it, or a combination of the two. So by looking at the sweep, at the technique, you know if it's one of the two sweeps or one of the two throws, if it's a takedown or a throw. And you can be like, oh, wait, what skills are incorporated into this one? Was it pushing? Was it pulling? How was the destabilization made? This way, that way, and so on. So I think it's easier to teach jiu-jitsu if you base your teachings on skills and not on techniques. Because, man, there are a lot of guards, a lot of passes, a lot of techniques. You can never master them all, but you can create a good base of skills that will help you do no matter what technique you see, no matter what pass you see. Sorry for the 5-minute monologue.
That was very, very, very interesting. You just like opened my brain like to a different part and how to view the techniques. Very interesting, man.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate it.
you mentioned that you had two herniated discs. I also have a lot of injuries, not
Mm.
not discs, but other things. And my best friend has two herniated discs right now. What kinds of tips do you have to people injury prevention, and also if you get injured, how to get back, and what you can do off the mat to still like at least maintain your skills or even increase your knowledge?
Yeah. So, first of all, I do not blame anyone other than myself on this.
Mm.
Um, when you feel that you can push your body and you keep pushing it without stretching it, without prehabbing it, without strengthening your muscles, injuries are gonna come. And the younger you are, for a very long period when I was young in Prana, was when I was on my early 20s, I would push and I would not stretch after. I would not weight lift properly. So I would just spar. I would just show up for the spar sessions, and then I would just accumulate stress on my body to a point, especially with my passive guard, because I used to be a lot of a passive counter fighter from the guard. So I would let people stack me. I would end up in all those weird positions where I would like get stacked and twisted, and So um, I think it's very important to always have structural integrity on your body, even if you are flexible, to not allow yourself to end up in positions that put stress in your body, to always face the opponent, turn your body in the right way, align your shoulders to your hips, have good structural movement. Look at freestyle wrestlers. They don't fight in all weird positions. When they are standing up, they have a good sound structure in their bodies. Judokas as well. In
Mm.
jiu-jitsu, it's one of the very few sports, probably because it's very young and we still
Yeah.
don't have a lot of sports science, a lot of good coaching methodologies. People, fight in all sorts of weird positions. They will pass guard, So good structural integrity in the body, and fighting from good positions, not doing crazy stuff, like takes you a long way. Doing proper rehab, prehabbing your body, strengthening your body, stretching after every session. These are so important things. I was just stupid. Also, there are many people in the jiu-jitsu world where they think that a hard training is a good training. It's very easy to push people. It's very easy to make people tired. I
Mm.
can just tell you to do 200 push-ups, you will die. You will be very tired. Like, good training does not mean you have to push yourselves to the limits on every class. So don't misunderstand what good quality jiu-jitsu is. You need to train a lot, but you need to regulate it to how your body takes it or not. That
Mm.
was taught to me by a karate master, actually. Back in Greece, I trained some Shinkyokusen karate. And the trainer there was like, man, it's very easy to break people. It's very easy to push people. But the hard part about being a coach is to, find the balance.
To build people.
Yeah.
Um, how does it feel to be back in Sweden, and why did you decide to come back here?
Yeah. So I'm here now till August.
All right.
Yeah, I'm currently in between visas, so I'm planning to head out to Japan again hopefully. So I don't plan to stay in Sweden for too long. I want to travel some in Southeast Asia and train in Philippines, in Bali, in Hong Kong. Like, I want to go to places now before I can get back to Japan again by the end of the year. So I'm just waiting for visa situation to sort itself out. So yeah, I have my life back in Japan, so I plan on going back there actually.
Uh, the academy you're at now, Viva Zapata or
Yeah,
SPR
SPR.
Athlete Factory, a very good lineup of coaches. I mean, Mikael Murphy, yourself, Joshua, and you
Yeah,
also have, I think, Andrew
yeah.
Latza.
Andrew trains at the classes. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Man,
what's your take on the academy, and how does it feel
yeah,
to be where you
uh,
are?
yeah. It feels very good to be back training with Joss. Joss has been one of the people who have supported me the most. Like, we
Mm.
go way back. He's been with me when I tore my collarbone. Like, staying with me in the in the acute end, waiting with me for 6 hours back in 2015. He's such a
Typical.
supportive guy. Yeah, such a supportive guy, man. Always helping me out. I owe a lot to Joss as well. He's been showing me a lot of jiu-jitsu. There are many people in Prana that I trained a lot with that really helped me, like Max, Joss, Emad. Like, I've learned a lot from those guys. They were always giving me tips and so on. Apart from my trainers there, Jimmy, Daniel, and Kenta. So yeah, it feels very good to go back to training with Joss again. Having Mikael Murphy as well, who is great at jiu-jitsu, amazing at judo. I get to pick up his brain because now I'm so interested in judo. Like, I respect him on a completely different level now. Before, I
Yeah.
knew Murphy because he was a pioneer. He has results in
Yes. Yes.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu in Sweden. But now, man, I'm like, shit, show me this, show me that. So he's like correcting my mistakes on my videos and helps me out. So I'm really grateful for those guys. We also have a small league. We train with Zamil, with Liam. So we have very high level people now on the mat training no gi. So it feels very good to be there. The culture, the people built there, Henry, Michael, And Joss is amazing. Everybody's so open to me because I'm teaching with CLA, so I'm teaching there on a different approach, and people are so open and so nice, man. I felt so welcome already.
Nice.
Yeah.
Imagine Mikael Murphy. He's a pioneer, as you said, and his results from Worlds is still, together with Rasmus, the best Swedish result on Worlds by men. It's
Yeah, the
insane.
silver brown belt, right? Yeah,
Yes, yes.
man,
It
it's
still
huge.
stands.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah.
What's your plans for the immediate future and also long term? Where go back to Japan, and what
Mm.
do you have some
So
plans in mind?
yeah, so my plans now are to qualify for Worlds next year. I still have some points from Asians last year, so I want to qualify for Worlds. There has never been a Greek person who qualified to the adult black belt world championship in the pyramid, and I really want to do it. Um, I'm now declining. I'm on the end of my competition, but I really want to pave the way, at least so to the Greek community that, hey, we can do it,
Yeah.
slowly. First, there needs to be somebody who qualifies, then somebody who makes it to the semis, to the finals, and so on. Hopefully, I can do all that. But,
Then you can be a pioneer like Murphy, but in
yeah,
Greece.
so it's important for me. So competition-wise, I want to compete IBJJFs tournaments in Europe this year and try to make it to Worlds next year. Because in Japan, we only have Asians, man. That's
Yeah.
it. There are no competitions in Asia, IBJJF, that gives you points. So I really need to be here this year and make it point-wise. When it comes to Jiu-Jitsu, man, my dream was never to become a world champion. I trained hard because I wanted to become good at jiu-jitsu. I always felt some sort of of noise within me that I had to
Mm.
calm down. I grew up in a small village and I had a very romantic view about martial arts. I wanted to become good at them, to help other people through martial arts, sophronize people who have suffered, or help build up kids into good, sound human beings. So I just want to become better at jiu-jitsu till the day I die. I
Cool.
just believe that competing makes me better. So I'm giving it my all in competition because it's a very real part of becoming good in jiu-jitsu.
Mm.
But I just want to become better in jiu-jitsu. That's my plan. Keep teaching, perfect my way, be as transparent as possible to my students. Um, Now I talk 15 minutes per class. I try to keep this talking minimal, make people train, get the most out of it, understand what I'm saying in a better way, make their skills even sharper, allow them to become better, and so on. There is always ways to improve. If you segment it, if you break it down, you can always improve by the Kaizen method.
Mm.
So that's my goal.
Nice. We got some questions from our viewers,
Let's get
so
it.
we'll go into the Q&A.
I need to get ready for that. I need to get ready for that.
Maybe some questions you already answered through the podcast, but if you want, you can just elaborate. So let's see. I will just have to find it here. All right. So the first question is, uh, 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 um, where does your wide range of submissions come from?
Wide range of submissions come from. Uh, to be fair, guys, 90% of my matches is by armbar or triangle. Um, so I wouldn't say statistically by competition results, I have a wide range of submissions. I do like omoplatas, I do like darces, I do like chokes, but let's face it, I'm a triangle armbar guy. Sorry.
All right. Next one. Are you a romantic person?
I'm a very romantic person when it comes to martial arts.
uh, how much weight did you gain in Japan or after Japan? It says.
Yeah, so I'm basically up 1.5 kilo pretty much. So I weigh around 81. I went to Japan 80 kilos, so now I got a kilo or two up. Not much.
Not
The
much.
food is amazing in Japan, by the way. I had a lot of misconceptions about it, but it's amazing.
Mm. How was the sushi?
Amazing. They have so much more than that, man. They have such
Yeah.
balanced diet is amazing.
All right. Next question. Already answered, but drilling or ecologic jiu-jitsu?
There is no ecological jiu-jitsu.
I just read the question as it
There is
was.
yeah, I'm answering to that person. There is
Yeah.
just certain approaches, and again, we answered that, right? How do you express your teaching better? Does the ecological approach express you in a better way? Great, do that. Does the IP method, information processing, drilling, all that express you? Great. Do you build good skills on the people? Great. Do you know your art? Great.
All right. Next one. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you love Nati?
Nati is a person of pure heart and love. I love him as much a man can love another man.
Nice. Who do you look up till in Swedish jiu-jitsu?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
When I was fighting in the World Championships in Abu Dhabi 2015 at blue belt, and I was having my fourth match against Gustavo Batista. He's a black belt world champion now.
Yeah, from
And
Atos.
yeah, I had no coaches from Naka Dojo at that time. It was before I moved to Prana, and while I was fighting him, I could hear somebody coaching me, and I turned around and it was Jimmy Svensson. He didn't care if I was from Naka Dojo. He didn't care who I was. He knew I was from Sweden, and he coached me. And to this day, him and his brother Daniel, pioneers of Swedish Jiu-Jitsu, amazing people, hardworking, stoic people who would always help you to this day. I look up to Jimmy and Daniel Svensson a lot. They are my role models since I moved to Prana Jiu-Jitsu. So I really look up to them to this day. It's pretty much the only people that I didn't fluctuate into who is he a role model, is he not? So if I have to choose somebody, it would be Jimmy and Daniel Svensson.
Cool. This one we already went over, but if you want to elaborate, feel free. How did you prepare to fight Tainan mentally and physically?
We talked about it, right? Let's not waste any more time into it.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know till very late that he was in the brackets. When I fought him, I tried to fight him into novelties, fight him in a position that I might have more experience, and that's the inverted positions and so on.
Next one. After being away, what do you think is missing in Swedish Jiu-Jitsu?
I think what's missing in Sweden Jiu-Jitsu is people who crystallize the community into different parties. We, them, this and that. If you look at judo, at freestyle wrestling trainings, all the best guys gather up in a room and they become better because they face other people outside. When shit hits the fan, when all the Swedish people travel outside, they are all one group. That says a lot. Why are we one group outside of Sweden and not inside Sweden? So I would say if there is one thing that holds Sweden back is the fact that people don't train with each other. And there is a lot to gain from training with other people. And I really believe in that. I really believe into viewing other people as ways and as partners that help you become better, and healthy competition. We need to learn from that. Technique wise, strength and conditioning wise, mentality wise, we have nothing to man, we are second to none. Sweden is amazing. We have such good jiu-jitsu here. We just need to stick together. Let's not do it only outside Sweden when we're in the international competitions. Let's do it inside Sweden. We spend most of our time training here, not outside Sweden. We get most here, guys. Let's get it.
Next one. Maybe you have to be careful about how you answer this one, but which referee did you miss the most while you were in Japan?
Oh, let me guess. Who wrote that question? A buffoon.
Yeah. Right answer.
You know it,
Last one, and I also want to know, how did you become so handsome?
man. Genes. It's the
Greek
Black
genes.
Sea of the Pontus area. Pontic Greek. It's just all beautiful till I turn and the nose comes into the picture.
Was that why all the Greek statues are without nose
You know it,
nowadays?
man. You know, they were like, might as well break it off. Huh?
Hermes, very nice and interesting conversation. I learned a lot. I hope the listeners also learned a lot. Would you like to say something or give someone a shout out or a sponsor to end it?
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope I did not forget too many people from Prana that has helped me grow. Again, so many people in that room that I had to address. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Shout out to my sponsor, Open Airing. Check out their gis, made in Korea, amazing gis. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Come train with me at SPR if you want to try out the class, see what the CLA approach is all about. I'm there every lunch training.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.